The 40 Lessons Podcast is a Shining Starlet Entertainment production.
Time for another week of life, love, and everything in between on the 40 Lesson Podcast.
Welcome to another week of the 40 Lesson Podcast, man, where we talk about life, love, and everything in between. It's your boy Dumisani.
And it's your girl, Tori Strick.
Man, I cannot get rid of Tori. She just keeps showing. No, I'm having a great time with Tori sitting in on the podcast. That's good. I'm glad, especially since it's for free. So you know what I'm saying? So I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. If you're gonna do it for free, you better enjoy it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel about it personally, man.
That's how I feel about it too. I think if we're gonna spend our time doing something, it needs to be something either very worthwhile or something that we absolutely enjoy doing. So we either saving kids from starving or we are enjoying ourselves talking about wonderful, fun, and interesting topics.
Interesting topics that can really have some impact on people's lives when you think about it. Because, people are, a lot of times people are sitting in their closed spaces wondering about these things, scared to share these thoughts that they're having with other people because they don't want to be judged and things of that nature. So, I'm happy to have thought about a platform in which, we can share this way. Yes. There's a lot of different, things going on in the podcast world, and I'm happy for them. I indulge in quite a few of them. But I just felt it was something like this that needed to happen where we can have this type of conversation in a platform that, looked like us, thought like us, experienced like us.
And candid.
And candid, absolutely. You want me to be soft and gentle, book a session. I can be a gentle, more soft coach in a session. And on this particular podcast, we're gonna keep it clean and keep it straight.
Soft and gentle. It sounds like a shampoo commercial.
Right, Head and Shoulders or something, right? Yeah. What we got going on today, Tori?
So we have there have been some very interesting couple of weeks. What were you gonna say?
We still in our adulting series, aren't we?
We are still
Adulting
in our
101
adulting series.
Yes. In the last couple of weeks, you mentioned that.
Hey, so just because I'm a bit of a nerd, is there a 102 and then a 103?
I don't know yet. We haven't developed that far yet. Okay. Right now,
he be having secrets and stuff up his sleeves. You see these sleeves.
Hey, listen. You until you make sure that everybody is in on the kingdom, you can't give them all the secrets. Yes, you know what I'm saying? Again, I am King T'Challa, and I am protecting Wakanda. And last time I invited somebody from the boy from Oakland came and tried to take over. You know what I'm saying? Wow. Had a doper suit in mind and everything. You know what I'm saying? I thought all that was disrespectful. But anyway, let's get back to what we was talking about. No, right now we in the Adulting 101 series. As I said, we dealing with love. We could apply these principles to a lot of things, but we talking about what people talk about, which is love. Romantic. Can't none of us get right. Yep. For some odd reason.
Right.
I'm just saying, most folks can't get it right.
That's not true.
You don't think so?
Did you take a poll?
I don't need to take a poll.
Where's your data?
My data says 65% of marriages today are divorced.
Is it 65%? I thought that was second marriages.
It ticked up. It don't matter. Even the second round ain't getting it right.
Well, the second round is certainly higher than the first round.
Exactly. So that's telling us some things. But my point is, enough of us had enough breakups.
Is that telling us some things?
I think it's telling us a whole lot of things. I tell you what. Well, then let's talk about what's telling us.
I'm just saying. Does divorce tell us that people are simply getting it wrong? Is that what divorce rates tell us?
Let's leave the married folk alone then. What's wrong with the single people then?
The same thing that's wrong.
Why
with
is there so many of them?
What's wrong with being single though?
I'm not saying nothing. So personally, my personal opinion. I don't think God intended for us to come through this life alone. Okay. I think God made man and woman for a reason.
Being single doesn't mean being alone, though.
True, but I'm talking about at some point, I think it's natural to want to spend life with someone.
Okay. That doesn't mean that it has to be romantic.
Well, okay. Speak as a woman, because
I'm speaking as.
Because I got a lot of homeboys I'm cool with. Sometimes they get on my nerves. I don't need to see them every day. I wouldn't necessarily look at them and spending life with. I understand. I like going to the cigar lounge. I like hanging out with them, playing talk. We do the little old man stuff we do. Then, for a few days, I ain't got to see them. You know what I'm saying? But if I got that special someone in my life, I want to see her every day.
Okay.
I want to be near her.
Okay.
Want to hold her hand.
Okay.
Buy some ice cream, some sweet frog or something. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Maybe have a little dinner.
Okay.
Catch a little play.
All right.
Catch some flights. Get some passport stamps with.
Little coitus as well. Yes.
Who?
Sex.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, you know, I'm divine, so I don't. My pastor might be watching. I don't be knowing about all that stuff.
You think your pastor don't know that you like sex?
I like it.
And you don't think your pastor know because you got 4 kids that you didn't have sex?
There you go being factual again. You know what I'm saying? Nobody asked you to be all factual.
I just need to understand some things.
I had all those children in, 3 of those kids, 3 of the 4 children were made in wedlock. So. See?
That makes it better.
That makes it different. That's all I'm saying for me.
Interesting.
I tried my best to do it in the confines of how I felt God intended. I fell short of the glory of the Lord one time.
Just once.
Just once. But I love them all the same, and they all are dope individual children in which I will give my life for.
Wonderful.
One time. No.
Wonderful. Well, you only have one life.
That's only have one life to give anyway. So, with all that being said, Tori always got us going left. No, I'm just playing.
You know what? Tori has us thinking.
She does.
We are humans, and we are on this plane to do a few things. We are humans experiencing this life, and I refuse to be supportive or contribute to folks moving through this space and just unconscious.
And moving in confines that other folks have already placed on them and not creating their own path and their own lane.
Exactly.
And that's what I like about you, that you challenge the status quo.
I do.
You do.
I find great delight and pleasure in challenging.
Yes, you do. A little too much delight and pleasure.
Over and over again.
What's going on in America, Tori?
So, after saying all of that wonderful stuff, we come to some, I don't know if I would call this ratchet, I don't know, that's a judgment, but certainly something that's sort of attributed or contributing to the reality TV world.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Jordan Woods.
Okay. New famous.
New famous?
Yeah.
That's an interesting term. I like it.
New famous. Yeah, new famous. Didn't know who she was. Until Red Table Talk.
Yeah. Well, until she,
She came on the Red Table Talk.
Well, until she decided to involve herself with, what's his last name? Tristan
Thompson.
There we go.
Now I didn't even know the incident had transpired. I just happened to be a Red Table Talk watcher.
Okay.
You know, me and Jada go way back.
Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
So far back she don't know who the hell I am. Right. But we low key. I'm waiting on Will to mess up, but
Oh, those two are not breaking up. She said it.
Yeah, she did say that. I cried a little bit on that episode, but it was a dope episode.
It was a great.
It was a very great episode.
Oh, it was
we should dissect that show one day.
That touched me.
It was some heavy in that show right there.
That touched me.
But back to New Famous. Jordan Woods was on Red Table Talk.
She was.
To talk about not cheating with Tristan Thompson.
Yes.
And the reason I say not cheating with Tristan Thompson is because when I dove into the story a little bit deeper, first of all, she ain't even Chloe's friend.
Well,
this is what's the little girl name? Callie?
They
got a baby sister.
Oh, no.
Callie.
No.
Carly.
Kylie.
It's with a K.
I think it's like Chloe.
Something.
Kylie.
I promise you they spelled it with a K.
Now it's Caitlyn.
Maybe that's who it is. Caitlyn.
No, Caitlyn is Bruce Jenner.
Oh.
So no.
Oh, you added a woman. My bad. So, but anyway, we're going to leave that alone.
Yeah.
So, anyway, she friends with the baby sister. Mm-hmm. Her, Jaden, and the baby sister all cool.
Jaden is... See, I tiptoed into this story because I knew it was going to be some fracking-ackle.
I'm telling you what they said.
Okay.
This is what the Table Talk said.
Okay.
They was explaining...
I'm here to be educated.
They was explaining how the families were cool.
Okay.
So, the Smith family, the Kardashian family, and the Woods family got close because those 3 kids was kicking it together.
Okay.
The Woods family and the Smith family cool because her daddy used to be a sound engineer on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Okay.
Her daddy died a few years ago.
Okay.
So she lost her father in her teenage years. She also hinted to showing some dysfunctional behavior, drinking and partying a lot. She admitted that. This is a California thing. Go to the club closed early. We go to somebody's house, hang out. The house they went to is Tristan. She know of Tristan because she hangs around this family. Now, Tristan and Chloe currently ain't together from what the news and the Twitters and all them say.
That's what the people say.
That's what the people say.
The streets.
The streets usually know what it's talking about.
Very true.
Some way, somehow. They better than the Washington Post.
Listen, the CIA.
So they say they not together. And so all of a sudden, Jordan is getting dragged on Twitter for being at Tristan's house or leaving Tristan's house at 7 in the morning because Tristan kissed her. Now, what I found amazing in this story that just shocked the world out of me, why ain't nobody mad at Tristan?
Well, now, come on. He's a man.
But
We don't get mad at men for their
lies and fallacies.
Not in the situation where there are 2 women and a man. There is some sort of unspoken rule that the woman will go after the other woman and be mad and angry because there's a woman code, and I get that, and be mad and angry at her. But for him, he's sort of set aside. Now, many women, women of my ilk, I will say this.
Had something to say about that.
Listen, I got a girl who will roll up to your house and knock on your door.
And have some questions.
And if you don't open the door, she will get in the house.
Okay.
So
Is
that
this
kind of party.
Is she in Detroit currently? Are we safe? Or is she in Largo, Maryland?
She's in Maryland.
She in Maryland?
Where she belongs.
Oh, do PG County know about it?
PG County don't need to know about it.
Okay, all right. Y'all better watch out those. We got Detroit people in Maryland.
You got Detroiters all over. What up, though? You got Detroiters all over.
Detroit versus everybody.
Yes.
But
there's a thing that happens there.
But I find that to be very unfair. So let me say this.
Well, life isn't fair.
I thought the young lady's story was a story. I thought it was pointless. I thought, like, why are we even talking about this young lady? But then I figured out Jada Noah, so that's why they, helping out, trying to help her defend herself because she's getting taken through the rug on Twitter.
She's the villain. She's the black girl,
and
she
absolutely
appears to be the other woman,
and she happens to be a pretty attractive black girl, which was. And
if you really want to talk about it,
if you really want to talk about it, absolutely, he would have been upgrading.
That was petty.
But that was real petty. But that was the first thing I noticed. I said, "I see you, player." You know what I mean? Honestly, if you're going to try to, move on,
Did he not know who she was, though?
He knew exactly who she was.
So
and he was being low-key petty.
Yeah, that was
He knew what he was doing.
But
he knew that would get... And that's what I'm upset with Tristan about. Because I'm okay with you being petty if you want to be petty. No, listen. Petty is healthy.
No, it's not.
Sometimes petty is healthy.
No, it's not.
You got to be petty sometimes.
No, it's not.
Listen, y'all.
Whether you have to be or don't have to be,
it's questionable.
But it ain't healthy. No.
I feel good every time I'm petty. But that's maybe just me.
You feel good. What about the person you being petty towards or people?
That's a perfect example. I'm gonna keep me in therapy on that one. But I understand him wanting to be petty because just like we were talking about in the last episode, ego, being vindictive,
not wanting to face our vulnerability.
He knew good and well what he did with that little girl was gonna get back to Chloe, and he did it purposely, and it worked. And he figured out a way to not even be in the mix. Oh my God!
Listen, though,
crazy.
Make no mistake about it. If Jordan, well, that's the old me, but I will just say this: if you use me as a tool to get back at someone,
that ain't gonna end well.
Boy, listen.
I'm glad you saved. I'm amen. He brought you a mighty long way, haven't he?
You and then because you see what's happening to her.
I see.
She's being demonized.
Very unfairly. And I want that to be clear that when I heard the young lady's story, as pointless as I thought this story was, I felt sorry that the young lady even had to tell this petty story about this petty situation. Tristan, Jesus, come on, boy.
Well,
It's like, this is ridiculous. Why you always? Why is there so much foolishness? Though, right? And they are, and they doing 20-year-old stuff, and we have to. You know what? That was a great comment because you just reminded me. We all was 20-something at one point in time, and if our 20-something came on video at any point in time, all of us may be trying to get all them videotapes out of Blockbuster and hide them from somebody because we wouldn't want nobody to see them. Because I know my 20 was wild. Me and Hennessy had some days and they wasn't good ones. So I'm just going to, I just thought the story was crazy.
I agree.
And I thought it was unfortunate that once again, a young black woman gets, put out there in the mix over something a grown man did that he should have stood up and took accountability for. And then him and that other young lady, Chloe, that he had beef with, they figured that out.
I agree. 100%. I agree 100%.
40 Lessons, a coach for life. For life coaching services, contact Dumisani Solwazi at thereal40lessons@gmail.com. That's thereal40lessons@gmail.com.
So as we continuing in our Adulting 101 series, what are we talking about today?
So today we are talking about closure. We're talking about starting over.
And
the end of things.
The end of things.
And then the beginnings of others.
The beginning of other things. And I think, sometimes, you said something at the end of the last week's show that kind of stuck with me. I want to get back on that.
You got a young man's memory, remind me.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I do got a young man's memory. It wasn't that long ago. The people hearing it this week, for me, it was really like 10 minutes ago. But, little show secret. They don't need to, they don't know that. But,
you go. I'm just revealing all you just said.
I'm just saying.
And...
I'm just kidding, Listen, I'm good to the people.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But anyway, you was talking about closure, not really being closure.
Closure not being a real thing.
A real thing. Please let me quote you correctly. Closure not being a real thing.
And I legit forgot that fast.
Please explain to the people.
So
because there's some folks that think they got it, and you about to shatter their whole world if you tell them that it ain't existing.
No, I'm not going to shatter because if they think that they got it, hopefully they're in a completely different space, and so it doesn't even matter what I say. And I'm still sort of processing my thoughts about this, but I think that there is an illusion of closure in the sense that it's this thing that sort of puts a period to the end of a relationship. It closes things off completely. It shuts it down, and then there's a clean break, and then boom, we're ready to move on. And
I would challenge the clean break part. But
well,
go
I'm
ahead.
just saying, I think there is an idea that there is something that's needed from the other person that allows us the ability to move forward.
Right.
And I don't think what we don't understand is that desire to talk to someone that one last time isn't really a desire to talk to that person one last time. It's a desire to one last time, perhaps, see if there's anything left.
Now, on that, I agree with you. I have said that, I have tried to figure out who is the closure for. And, one of the things, it's crazy that you brought that word up. Because, my second edition of the book was pain, closure, and restoration. And the closure piece was really just understanding that this has happened. This is where I am. This is my new situation. And I'm going to have to push through and deal with it. It had nothing to do with the other person because the other person wasn't even there for the closure to happen when it took place.
But why not?
Those emotions in me, because that was an emotional process in me, right?
Right.
So that was something I had to come to grips with, right? That person wasn't available to me on a daily basis. That person, I wasn't reaching out to that person. Me and that person wasn't having talks. There was no back and forth. There was no, it was just me understanding that this is your life now. Your life don't include them. What are the steps you're going to take to go forward and how your life going to look differently now? In your individual state because you no longer have a couple state to worry about. And that becoming accustomed to a new daily routine, being accustomed to, being in your own space on a daily basis, buying a home, moving by yourself.
Acclimatizing.
Exactly. Changing your environment, getting rid of things that were shared with that person. Things like that.
What is the difference? And I think I think it's a trick. I think it's a trick and I'll say this strictly from my perspective as a woman, I think it's a trick that women play on themselves. What is the difference between closure and the end? Like, why do we have this prettier word for what really amounts to the end?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's necessary. So the end is because the end is decided sometimes by someone else.
But it doesn't negate the fact that it's the end. So that's exactly my point.
And that's my point. So the end is decided by somebody else. And the closure piece is you accepting the end that was decided.
It's the end. Well, there's no accepting or not accepting.
I'm with you.
It's the end.
You asked the question and I'm giving you what I'm feeling their answer would be to your question. You said, what's the difference between the closure and the end? I'm just saying for them, it may be you telling me it's over and me accepting it's over are two different places in that timeline. Honestly. Trust, I've dated some women that I know that's true. Me telling them it's over and them accepting it's over wasn't the same time.
But accepting that it's over is the acceptance. That is the acceptance that it's done. I guess what I'm saying is we live in this state of intentional delusion, and we live in this state of circumstantial delusion, and then we live in this state of unconscious delusion. And I think that saying closure allows us to live in a state of either circumstantial or unconscious delusion. The end of the relationship happened, whether you say, okay, the next day after I'm good, or 73 days after I'm good. The end of the relationship has happened. There is nothing that will happen that is going to change that. So your acceptance of it or not really allows you to feel like you have some power in what happened, which is why I call it delusional. There is it's the end.
So you think it's harmful?
Do I think that the word closure is harmful?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I think the word closure is harmful.
Wow, explore that.
Why do you think people think that they need to have it in order to move on?
So you think that people should be able to come to a conversation. Somebody in that conversation says, I no longer want this relationship. They should high five, hug, shake hands, whatever they're going to do. Walk away, cry. And in that moment, be done with it.
In that moment, the relationship is done. Whether we're dressing up the morning of the ending of a relationship, calling it closure. Okay, that's what I'm saying. We're dressing it up. We are making it.
So you want to call it? You saying if there's a mourning period, you need go ahead and mourn.
Of course, you have a mourning period. It's grief. That's what this is.
And so you saying it's not closure, it's grief.
It is grief. When a relationship ends, I mean, assuming that, you weren't thrilled that it ended. When a relationship ends, you are losing someone. It's grief. That's what it is.
It's not this closure thing.
I think dressing it up is closure. So no, it's not. I think we dress it up as closure to make ourselves feel like we have power in something, to make ourselves feel like we control something. Well, I decided, once it was over, I had to have closure, so I did X. No, you just did what you normally would do, which is move the fuck on. That's what we have to do.
But isn't that part of the starting over process of me getting my power back?
That's grief. What power did you lose?
He or she felt they lost something.
The person.
I know. So I got to come to grips.
Covers that.
So I'm coming to grips with it on my terms. And if I want to call it closure, who have I harmed?
Delude yourself and call it closure. When we, though, tell other people, when we start to paint this brush and we say to other people, well, you need to have closure over da-da-da-da-da because blah, 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 blah. You won't ever really feel like blah, 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 blah. Closure, closure, closure. No. For you, it might be the prescription.
But it may not be for somebody else.
Because it's really just a matter of accepting that you are going to grieve when the relationship is over. You are going to go through the stages of grief.
And that's a very pointed way to think about it when you think about the ending of a relationship, right? If you really loved and cared for someone That's really what you're about to do is grieve the loss.
And call it grief. Why are we so
scared to call it that?
We rush people. Think about it. When people die, we rush people through the grieving process. We tell people not to cry, to man up. We tell people to suck it up. We tell people, "Oh, you'll be fine." It was the Lord's will. We give people these quick and dirty references to try to get people to move through their emotional process, and then we wonder why people are so emotionally stunted. Well, that's because we don't really allow
them to expand and to explore the emotion.
If it's love, we're happy about that. Yeah. But grief, we don't want to see that.
We don't want people dealing with long-term tragedies and things of that nature. And it's like some people, if they've lost a loved one that they really care for, when that person's birthday come around, or and we'll do a show on this later on in the year when Thanksgiving and Christmas come. We're gonna dive into grief and how some of these holidays are real hard for people who are used to certain matriarchs sitting at those tables, and those people patriarchs, and those people are not there anymore, and what that means not only to the individual but to the family, and there's certain things that don't happen in that dynamic no more.
Yes.
when those strong figures are gone, and we have to really accept and acknowledge that. And maybe if we handle grief a little better, we could have a plan on a way forward, or maybe even finding another family member that would ascend to those places in our family to keep the family whole and moving in a certain direction, or in a certain legacy would be a better word, keeping the legacy alive.
Absolutely.
So once we get to that place with you where we functionally deal with the end through grief and not this fake word closure. Tori has killed closure tonight on the show.
If you want to use closure, use it.
No. I think you make a strong argument for it. Make no excuses. I think you make a strong argument for what you just said. I really like it, honestly. Teasing you, but I really dig how you kind of explain where you was coming from on closure being, a make-believe word for what we're really doing, which is grieving. I think that's good stuff. I think we should live right there in that lane. My next question is, so once we grieve, I don't think people understand that they can start over and grieve at the same time. I don't think they understand that that's a process they can do simultaneously. Sometimes folks be like, just let me grieve. I ain't mad at you grieving. I just need you to come on and get moving, because this life is still going.
Dangerous territory.
I know. How do you get people moving back in the right direction?
You can't get people to do anything. There are people.
How do we encourage?
We encourage people by asking them the ways in which they need to get encouragement.
Okay.
We ask for permission. We forget that people have agency over themselves. And even in moments of grief and despair and hurt,
absolutely,
we ask people, I understand right now that you are experiencing this situation. You lost your brother. And I want to be there for you. I don't know how. What are the ways in which I can be there for you? No, because I'm going to tell you right now. Had somebody said that to me when my brother died,
then we
got punched.
Gotcha.
How can I be there for you?
And what do you need?
What can I do for you?
Absolutely.
And sometimes someone's simply going to say to you, and my best friend and I just had this conversation, I just needed somebody to sit with me. To just sit with me as I just I was in a space where the relationship ended, and I was sad and I was disappointed, and I just needed someone there. I needed someone else's energy there. And nobody asked me, because I am do. This is how I learned this.
Right.
I'm like, well, what do you need me to do? We need to go over his house. We need to flatten his tire. Like, you want me to call?
It's like, I don't want to do any of that.
And she was just like, y'all were doing all of this. I just needed y'all to be.
And I just need y'all to sit in the room.
Yeah. And not constantly say, you'll get over it.
And we can just watch TV.
Yeah, even if it was silent, she just needed
somebody in the room.
With her.
Exactly. And sometimes we really underestimate how powerful that is, right? We underestimate how powerful our presence is, and our still presence. Let me say that. Sometimes just being still and present does tremendous things for an individual.
Yes.
It says to the person, you're not alone. But at the same time, I'm letting you got this. I'm here if you need me.
If you need me.
But you got this.
Yes.
I ain't asking you to. If you good with sitting in that corner crying, I'm gonna sit over here and watch you cry. I'll change out the Kleenex boxes. Yep. You keep doing what you're doing. You ain't hurting nobody. Yep. And I think that's the part that we got to get better at when we get in these situations, is helping people to understand that there is nothing required of your emotions. You can handle them the way that you want to handle them.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. There's nothing required of your emotions.
Yes.
You're not obligated to move in any type of way for me. Correct. You need to move in the safest way for you. Correct.
Now, the exception to that, though, obviously, is if we see someone who is practicing continual self-harm.
Oh, absolutely.
The occasional, I get drunk on occasion because I'm trying to escape. I mean, that's natural for us.
But if you get drunk in your house and you just go to sleep in your bedroom, that's quite fine. But I'm not going to watch you turn up at the club and then drive home.
Exactly.
No, ma'am.
That is
no, sir.
That's a different.
We ain't going for any of those. Type of behavior.
I'll take you to the club, and I'll take you, and I'll bring you home.
That's it. Because I'm gonna make sure you safe.
Yes.
Make sure ain't nobody gonna take advantage of you.
So those are the exceptions.
Absolutely, and we got to be smart about that. That's all those. Those are times in which you don't stand still. You move, and you move with vigor to make sure that your friends and your loved ones are taken care of. And once we get past that process, we start putting back the building blocks when they're ready.
I'm gonna say, here's the thing about grief. Grief is a sneaky bitch. Pardon the expression, because I'll tell you, I don't know that you ever really
get over it. That's a good point.
I will say that specifically as it pertains to the death of someone.
Okay.
So my father died some time ago, and every Christmas, every Christmas and around his birthday, I don't like boo-hoo anymore.
Is his birthday around Christmas as well?
No, his birthday is in February.
Okay.
So we had a tradition at Christmas, and then whenever February 2nd rolls around, I just get this weight, right? So I don't think, and even talking about it can be, because you relive emotions when you're talking about them, right? So I don't know that I've ever loved someone, a partner, so much where I would experience that same kind of grief, but because I know how love moves, I know that it's possible, more than possible, it's probable that someone loves their partner not in the same way, but to the level of intensity that I love my father, which would suggest to me that grief doesn't ever really go away. Exactly. But I haven't been there, so I don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But you've experienced it with your dad to a degree. Right. And what you're saying is that this could possibly happen. I can have a mate. I can find somebody I fall in love with. And that's a closeness, especially when you start to say we husband and wife and those are good things. And one day I might have to bury a husband or a husband have to bury me. Those people, those are soul ties that roll with you. Yes. I mean, those are things you don't forget. I mean, I can even go as far as I have children with women and my children would one day lose their mother. And because that affects my kids, it's going to affect me in some way as well, because even though me and that woman is not together, there was a life me and her shared. There was life we birthed together, and we've raised these children, so our lives have been parallel in some shape, form, or fashion. And even though it may not be the partner or relationship closeness, it ain't go to hell to that person at all. So I would be affected just like they would be affected. And all those things are more than understandable. So I understand what you're saying about grief being sneaky, because you never really know when those moments when your loved one come to say hello to you. You know, and just show up in those moments, and you be like, man, go on.
Which is why I think you have to invite them.
You do, and you know, and it's also
People
gives us.
Don't think we absolutely crazy though.
No. I don't think we're absolutely crazy at all. I believe the ancestors cover you. Yeah. I have no. Yes. I am. Y'all hear me joke when I say the Wakanda and the King T'Challa. I believe that. I am a Pan-African man in thinking. I believe in the motherland and the ancestors and what God has created. life began in Kemet. I don't care what nobody say. You can email me to the sun, moon. I don't care what you say. I know better. You know what I mean? So I believe that the ancestors are watching over us.
I agree.
I believe what we say into this universe matters. I believe I believe that they are taking our dreams, they are taking our hopes, they are hearing our prayers, and they are the ones that bless the manifestation that comes with them. They assist us in ways that we have no clue of. Things that seem coincidental to us is not coincidental at all.
Yep.
The universe is moving on purpose and for my purpose at all times.
Absolutely.
So I'm not confused in the least bit. Matter of fact, I'm educated to feel you while we here. So, you know.
As a matter of fact.
Yeah. Some of y'all should have took some notes there in that last minute or so. You know, you might have picked up a jewel or two. You know what I'm saying? So,
major key.
Hey, major. So I dig it, man. And so what we're saying, essentially, I think where we're going with this is that there don't have to be a period for you to start over.
Correct.
There can be a comma.
Yes.
Or a semicolon.
Yes.
And the sentence can continue.
Yes.
Absolutely. And you can still be starting over while you're still dealing with some things.
Well, grief is a 5-step process.
Absolutely.
So, you know, and it's not linear. So it's not as if which is why we call it a process. It's circular, or you go and then you revert, and then you go some more, and then you come back, you regress. And so I think that it is important to note that when the ending comes, and there's nothing that you can really do about it's the end, right?
Absolutely.
Your next stage of being is going to be grieving that relationship. And so you might on that day get up and say, you know what, I'm going to go and I'm going to start to create, and I'm going to do blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely.
Or you might stay in the bed and you might sort of wallow for a minute in whatever it is that's going on. I think that we are dynamic enough as human beings that we can experience so many different things
Those
at one
different
time.
flows.
Again,
Absolutely.
that's what sort of differentiates us from animals, is that ability to feel through things. My fear is that by naming a thing closure,
we get caught up in somebody else's reality.
We don't feel the feelings.
And we push some things down to some places that, and we act like they don't exist.
Oh, I've been
when
there.
they do exist. And that's more damaging to our system than anything.
I'm a master compartmentalizer. Master.
I used to do that well as well. Act like something ain't wrong, knowing something ain't wrong. But
put it right in this little
the thing with that technique is your actions always come to surface with what you feeling. And everybody around you be like, what is wrong with you? And you be looking at them like, well, you stop asking me that. I'm not doing nothing. And they be like, okay, whatever, you tripping.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't even want to admit that you tripping, but you are, because whatever you got tucked away that you refusing to address is seeping out of your pores
in one way or another.
Yeah,
the soul cannot feel something that the body does not reveal. It's simply not possible. It's not possible. So if we feel at our core, I know for me, validation from men was a very big thing for me. And so I would say that it wasn't. And I would be like, no, I'm Miss Woman. And it didn't mean anything to me, but I sought validation in interesting ways when I was involved with men, perpetuating that whole angel, sweet kind of, you know what I mean? Right. So you if you feel it, the body is going to reveal it.
It's going to reveal it. Absolutely.
It has no choice. There is something very powerful about our feelings, but we don't honor that. And that's why I'm saying this whole closure thing, I mean, it's a word, and I get that words don't necessarily have that much weight until you get called a bitch. You know what I mean? Then the word all of a sudden has intent behind it.
I wouldn't know, because I don't use that word towards anybody.
I'm just saying, even if a man is called a bitch,
furniture
it has
gonna
weight
move.
to it. I mean,
furniture will move.
Well, but
you want to start a fight between two men? Call one of them that and watch the rearrangement of a house or establishment happen.
And your face.
Oh, my Lord!
That. But we say words don't have power until something like that
happens.
happens.
That's a whole nother power. That's you call me what? Like woo,
exactly.
Woo.
So I'm simply saying we have to be careful about the word closure and what we have it represent, because it might just encourage us to have this idea in our minds that closure means I have that one last conversation and then I got my cape on and I'm good again, versus no, there's a grieving process.
Absolutely.
That has to be experienced.
And you should honor it. Mm-hmm. And that's really...
Oh my gosh, did you? Because you're honoring yourself.
Man, and that was good.
The 40 Lessons podcast is executive produced by Shining Starlet Entertainment. For production consults, go to www.shiningstarlet.com.
And as we always slide out of the main event and slide into the 40 lesson moment. I tell you, having that conversation was really kind of switched up the 40 lesson moment there at the end, because I was thinking like, man, she really put a highlight on grief and how we don't really honor it to the degree that we should. Mm-hmm. And in your starting over process, we should probably put grief in front of that, instead of closure. Let's have some grief, and let's be honest with what you're grieving about. Mm-hmm. Try to put it in perspective. Mm-hmm. Try to actually put into words the emotions you're feeling and why you're feeling them. If it helps you to say, I'm mad that Craig is gone. Mm-hmm. I miss him. Mm-hmm. It's okay to say that. Mm-hmm. Don't mean you want Craig back. Mm-hmm. Don't mean that you're going to get him. Don't mean that you ain't. Hopefully you have deleted the number. That's how you keep yourself out of those situations. Block, then delete. If don't remember numbers. If you don't block, then delete, you're going to end up in a trap. I'm telling you. You got to block, then delete. So, but anyway, you got to block on a whole bunch of stuff these days between IG, Facebook, social media, the work email. You got 10 other emails. It's ridiculous. It's hard to.
These lives
no, I'm just saying. It's when people trying to get closure, they so connected in so many ways.
That's true.
It's hard to get it. You connected in so many ways, And then with Facebook sending you a history every
right.
You be doing well, and then from 2 years ago, I don't want to see that, man.
Yes.
Why is you showing me this picture?
I had a series of exes call and text me in like a week's time.
They was getting them reminders.
And I'm sitting there like, look at that. Such and such. Yeah. No, I'm not answering. I'm not responding because I'm at a point where I don't need to. But it was just very interesting.
Oh, yeah. It ain't interesting. Facebook sent them a reminder and they figured they test the water and see what was going on, man. But listen, what we really saying is in this moment is that grieve. If you need to grieve, grieve. Grieve can be part of your starting over process. You can grieve along with your steps to put things back together, to go about it another way, to create whatever your new life is going to be, however that new life is going to look. It does not have to be absent of grief. It can include and have all those things in the mix, and you be a perfectly normal human being. Absolutely. There is nothing wrong with you. I just want you to say, there's nothing wrong with you. We need that to be clear. You are fine. Everything's going to be great.
Tori Strickland presents Weightless, now available on Amazon.
So, as we get ready to close out another week, man, next week we're going to be talking about what did I learn? We're going to be in the last series of the Adulting 101.
And did you really learn it?
See, this is going to be the good one. Because we get them lessons hurt, boy. Them lessons is real, man. So we going to talk about what did I learn, man. As always, we're going to tell y'all if you got any questions, comments, just want to tell us we don't know what the hell we talking about. Email us at the 40lessonpodcast@gmail. We'll be happy to just know you listening, even though you're mad. We'll be happy to know that you listening.
Email, text,
carrier pigeon, whatever. Throw a spitball, whatever works for you.
Don't do that.
Check us out on YouTube, man, so you can see our shining faces, man. See how we look and do things, and see how we try to make everything all shazzy for you, make it look all cute. Subscribe, make sure you tell a friend, share the link. You can follow me on IG at 40 Lessons.
You can follow me at Tori Strick.
Hey man, and make sure you follow at Shining Starlet Entertainment as well, who is the executive producer behind the 40 Lesson podcast. She representing the Morgan State Bears, you know what I'm saying? All that good stuff. So
represent.
I got black girl magic all around me. So you got to make sure you support that, man. And, if you're looking for me, or you find me in Wakanda, I'm King T'Challa. I'm always in Wakanda chilling somewhere doing my thing. But make sure you stick with us. We're going to be on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, all those spots you can find us. just tell a friend, man. That's all we asking. Absolutely. Remember, man, you say it's yours.
Let's go get it.
See you next week.